working on our Summer in Bloom, and the colors that we're going to have in that today are white, the yellow green, the carnation pink, cerulean with a little bit of white to make it more of a blue color, orange, and dandelion. And we're going to start by doing the background first with all white. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to heat up our piece with our heat gun, and we're going to start on the outside edges first, because that takes the longest to warm, and finish up in the middle. And the reason we're heating our piece first is so that it's all warm, so when we go to put on our white with our stipple brush, and I've been soaking that in my white crayon, it's just going to go on nice and even and give us a nice even coat, and we're not going to have to come back and heat that again. It should just all be nice and smooth. If you think you want another layer, you can put another layer on over the top of it after it has dried, and then you'd have to heat it with your heat gun. But I think that's going to be just fine. We're going to let that cool down for just a little bit here, and we're going to be using our Zero brush today to do our flowers in, Zero wax design tool. And I'm going to see if I want to use the larger end or the smaller end. And there is no right or wrong on this design, just however you want to do it. So don't get caught thinking you have to do it a certain way. And I'm looking at my piece, and I may want to go one more layer, which is probably a good thing to show you anyway, because I can see through that. Now I know some of that will disappear after we get our flowers on, but don't go back over a spot that you put on once it starts to cool, because you're picking the wax up. And this is still going pretty smooth. We're not going to have to really heat that too much. In fact, I don't think I'm going to heat that at all until we get our flowers starting to go onto that. And see how much better that covered this second time around. So that's kind of a good thing to see. And got my hands all nice and white here. So we're going to come in. You want to make sure that's cooled down, and put some of these flowers on. And we're going to set it down and kind of pull it. And I am going to try the smaller end. And I'm heating my tool up. If you've never done the wax design, go to my website, miriamjoy.com. Find the video on the basics of wax design. It's a real good video to teach you how to do the basics. And we're just kind of setting those and just trying to get those into a point. And we don't necessarily want it in a circle. We want it kind of different shaped. So I'm going to do one there to kind of give me a guideline. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to melt it, so don't forget that. So we've got our pink on, so I'm going to do my orange, and I'm stirring it because it's been setting for just a little bit. And I'm going to put that on again. And like I said, we don't have to be perfect on this because we are going to melt it partially. So it's not a big deal. And one more there. Okay. And then I'm going to put my blue on. You could also use the turquoise if you wanted. I'm going to go back over the top of that one. I wouldn't normally tell you you could do that, but he had such little wax on him, and This isn't about being really perfect on anything, so I'm not going to worry about that. You can add a little bit more white to this if you want your blue a little bit bluer or lighter. So I want to add a flower that is half on and half off. So I think I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and we're going to put the leaves on first, and then we're going to go back and figure where our other flower needs to be. Now I did move up to my number 1 tool, and I may jump down to the 0. And that's what's good, to start working with your tools so you know what you like and what size they make, so that you can know what tool you want to use. Now we don't want our leaves all going the same way and everything, so we want to make sure that we kind of do them in different directions and places. Alright, so I do want a flower over in this area, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do it in the orange. And I'm going to pretend that this is the center, and we're going to run it off the side of our gourd piece. And this is a 2-inch round gourd shard or circle piece. And we do carry those as well as the kits. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and give him a couple of little leaves. I'm going to do one right there between those 2 flowers. And then kind of up in this area to fill that area in. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to give that one right there. Okay, so we're going to put some dandelion into our centers now, and I'm staying with the same tool, and we're just going to dot some yellow in there, and no particular way, just kind of moving it around a bit. This is dandelion and not the yellow. It's a little bit more oranger color, a little bit thicker. Alright, so we've got all that in. So we're going to come over now and we're going to heat this up. And we're going to heat part of it. We're going to heat it till where we get it, where we like it. Now you can see I left some of this where it wasn't heated too much and I melted a little bit more. It's just kind of a personal opinion. There is no right or wrong on this. And I'm going to add one more leaf, and I'm going to pull it from the outside in just to give that spot a little bit more color right there. Okay. Alright. So start on the outside. We're going to work our way in. Okay, and I am going to quit right there, and I wish I'd stopped just a tad sooner than I did. It melted a little bit more, but that is how you do it. It kind of gives you the idea, and the flatter your piece, the less this white is going to show through, and it's going to darken up once it starts to get a little bit drier as well. So we're going to let this cool, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put our varnish, or excuse me, our finish on top of it. I'm going to add one little piece before we start to put our finish on. This piece is a very curved piece, and I try not to do it on curved pieces. That's why we want them as flat as we can. I was just trying to use up some of the stuff I had. And most importantly, if you don't like what you did, take it off and do it over again. I can't tell you in the beginning when I was trying to make a certain look how many times I took it off. There was some, gosh, I took off almost a dozen times. So if you don't like the look, take it off again. I actually do like this look, but I do have some thin pieces here, and again, that's because it's not real flat. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some glitter to that, and I want you to know how to do this. So we're just going to try and heat up this piece. We don't want to move our flowers around anymore. So have your glitter open and ready, and we're just going to use some Prisma, just plain glitter, the kind of whitish looking glitter. And we're going to heat that area up one at a time, and just right till it starts to shine. And we're going to help fill those areas in just a tad. Just right there. It doesn't take much at all. I like to put the glitter on with my fingers and do it that way. It works actually better. But see those areas where there's a little bit of wax, we're just putting those in. And you can see how it's starting to fill that out a lot better. So this is why I try to leave a lot of this in my videos, so that you can see things that you can do as well. I want to see if I want just a tad more right there. Okay. Now, once it's dry, and it's pretty well dry, we didn't heat it up as much before, and I can hold it safely in the middle without having to worry about getting into the warm wax. We're going to remove the wax off of the edges, and it's really important to do this. This is a thinner piece I'm working on. You do want them thick enough that your lacing can fit around them. And we're removing all of the wax so that our piece can stick to it, our suede leather strip. And it's real important to clean that up, because we're not going to put a finish on the side, so we don't want any wax left there. Then once we do that, we're going to come in and we're going to kind of go up on to the piece just a little bit on the edges. We're going to clean that off. And the reason we do that is we want a nice seal on our wax, so that none of the wax underneath it is left uncovered, and it's nice and firm. So remove anything else like that. Okay, and I really like the glitter into it. I really think it helps set that piece off. So we're going to put our finish on, and we're going to use our Mod Podge Dimensional Magic. And for the jewelry, I found that this works really well. It's really hard, so it gives it a nice good coating over the top of it. And it's also water-based, so you can clean your brush out afterwards and you don't ruin your brush or anything. But make sure you use an old brush, not a new one that you're not going to worry about. And you do not shake the Mod Podge. It's made to go on thick. And make sure this is not regular Mod Podge. This is Dimensional Magic. And we're going to start by going around the edges, not right on the edges, because this will fall off, unfortunately, especially this piece, because it is not flat. So we put it in a little bit, and then we're going to take our brush and we're going to make sure we go on the very edge and actually over just a little bit to seal the sides, so that if it happens to get warm or anything, that no wax can escape. Keep that nice and sealed. So we've gone around our edges, and what we're going to come do, and we're going to put a heavier coat on the inside. And Dimensional Magic is made to go on thick. It's used for jewelry and stuff to cover and give a nice, like glass-like coat. So we want to put quite a bit on this, and it's actually better to have too much than not enough. But we don't want to overwork it with our brush. We're going to lay it on, and actually I just kind of guide it with my brush and leave it. If you can see your brush strokes, you're not going thick enough, so we want to make sure that we do that. So I'm going to lay it on here. And I'm going to just kind of move this around. And you want to make sure it's not dripping over the edges. Anything that's dripping, you want to wipe off. And you'll see when you put the brush down the middle, you'll kind of get some strokes or some brush strokes, and then they will kind of gel back down, and so you know that you're doing that thick enough. So it's real important to put it on that thick. Now I'm going to use at least 3 to 5 coats of the Dimensional Magic because we want to seal this really, really well, especially for jewelry that's going to get brought into the sunlight and everything, because it is still wax. So do 3 to 5 coats, let it dry well in between each coat. The last coat you want to let dry for at least 5 hours before we get ready to put our necklace on. So let that go ahead up and finish and dry, and we'll be right back.